So, the reason I bought this caravan, we fitted, or Louisa's brother, my brother-in-law, and I have fitted a tow bar and 13-pin plug to the car, which was a bit of a pain. Probably should have done a video on that. But I've noticed there's not any videos, or very many videos on YouTube, just explaining how to repair this part. So it wasn't covered by warranty, as it's a wear and tear part, and we rung up a local caravan dealership and they said to just grease the hitch, which wasn't the answer. I knew it wasn't the answer. I said to them, no, this damper that's in it's definitely broken. And they said if it's broken you need a whole new hitch at £500 expense, which isn't true. I have already stripped down, got the part off and ordered the part. So I'll just show you how to do that. So this comes off. You have to just be careful with this bit of plastic. So this hole here is where this bit of the damper goes through. So you may have to loosen that and pull it out or something to adjust that to get that off. And then I'm just going to place. So here there is a clip down here that I can undo. However, it just on the floor out of the way quite nicely. So the problem has been as we've been driving, accelerating and braking. As we're braking, it's pushing in quite quickly, as you can see. That pushes in with quite a little resistance. It doesn't come back out on its own, or it does ever so slightly, but not very quick. So it shouldn't be able to push the damper in by hand. So it needs replacing. So all it is, it's a gas strut within the system that goes in and out. I've taken it off and I've ordered the part. Now the problem is going to be, the difficult part is when this gas strut is fully extended, this hole here, which is what holds the gas strut inside, doesn't actually line up with the gas strut. You have to push it in. So that's where we're going to have a little bit of trouble. I may have to, I think I'm putting a piece of wood in or something and ratchet strapping it to push it up. But then still going to try and get this on the end. Might be the difficult part, or possibly it might be that I have to figure a different way out. But I'll get there. Cross that bridge when I get to it. So to take it off, all I've done, I've used the little nut runner, and it is a Torx. It is a Torx bit that I've used. So I believe it was this one, which is a T50. Was it? No, I was mistaken. There you go. So it's a T55 Torx bit to use on that to get those off. However, I've already done it, so they should just whip off. Side. That's what. Now there is inside here that just slides off. It's the Alco hitch, and they're the little torque bolts. Them torque bolts. There's a spacer inside that is a little bit difficult to get back in, a little bit fiddly. And then just on the back here, there's a M12 nylock nut, which is just 19mm. I've not put that back on properly. And then there is two washers, one either side. So there's one this side and one just that side there. And there's a rubber bung that probably looks like it's seen better days, but it's not the end of the world. Nylock nuts shouldn't be reused, so I've got a new one over here to use. And then I'll just tap this out gently. There we go. So put them two to one side as well. Reuse them. Okay, so that's the gas strut. As you can see, I can push it in and out by hand. So when I've got this off, I've given it a quick wipe, and the numbers for it on here. So it is an Alco one, and it has these two part numbers. So it's this part number under here that I ended up ordering from a company, HK Trailers, I believe it was. And they have supplied me a new one, which is in that packet. Hopefully I haven't opened it yet. £50, ordered it Saturday, it's Wednesday now, it got delivered today, which is pretty decent. Okay, so this is the replacement one they've sent. It's actually a lot fatter than the one that was on it. Let's hope that doesn't make much of a difference. I will just measure them up to make sure that they're right. So I'm obviously going to have to put that nut on the end there. That's obviously a spacer. The gas strut itself is the same length. It has a damper. Yeah, it's the same replacement part. side by side. Let's put them on this bit of wood here.
That makes me fat.
I don't want to put them on the concrete. And if I push both of them with the same amount of weight, you can just see that the old one's going in quite easily and it doesn't really come back out very quickly, whereas that one wasn't really going in. So that's the difference. It doesn't seem a lot, but side by side you can see there's quite a bit of difference in those. So I've had a bit of a break in between, almost a breakdown. I've switched from Guinness Zero to my Iron Maiden pint of beer, which has worked out really nicely. I actually got delivered the day I went to see Iron Maiden. The issue I've had, that space there, if you come down here and just shine this here. So if you look this way on. So this space in here is massive. So I didn't want it to rattle around like that. I wasn't happy with it. The original spacer for there fits in nice and snug, which is what I wanted. So I've tried putting the original bushing in out of this, but that's a smaller diameter because this is the Alco one, this isn't. And then I tried using the bushing that was in it, and it's so tight, even in there, it's split. As I tried to push it through, and the inner diameter isn't the right diameter. So I found a bushing that fits, which took me ages. I was contemplating having to buy another one of these. I was about ready to hit things with hammers and cry. But I found one that fits. I've also then put a nylon nut on here because I did try and get the nut off the end there, but it's just spinning. This is now just spinning inside the mechanism. So I popped a nylon nut on to work as a spacer. I haven't put a washer on because the step on the nylon makes it sort of the same as the washer anyway. So what I need to do now is get this in here. I need to get lined up with here. So I'm going to have to thread it inside because they are slightly offset, just in the way they work. So if I get that on there and grab myself 17 centimeters. So I've now got that in and it's screwed in at the back. It was a little bit fiddly. Now I just want to get this forward over here. They should go in there a bit snug. There we go. Can I pull that far forward enough? Right, so how far out of alignment are we? That's fully forward, so a fair old bit. So I now need to get that pushed back in so I can get the bolt in, which will be the fun bit, because this is obviously now new and really tight, so it's not going to push in all that easily. So last time I put this on, I forgot to put the little rubber washer back in. So just as a lesson learnt from me, don't do that. Here's a clearance hole in there, but these two aren't aligned properly, so I'm having to just screw it in gently. It's not damaging the threads at all because it is quite loose. I don't want to hit it or push on the other end. Also, the other mistake I've made, which was a tragic mistake, and I'm glad I didn't break my Guinness glass, is I kicked my beer over. So I need to do these, and then we'll get back to putting the hitch on the other end. So next thing, I want to push this on, and then like I say, all I did last time, I can get that in there. So I've had to just push with all my body weight and the end of that to get that in, which was obviously really hard to do because it's a lot tighter than the new one. I'm going to put these on now. So the problem I'm going to have is that I remember that being really awkward, all that other spacer, wherever I've put it, somewhere on the floor around me. Maybe use a metal tin if you do this and put your stuff in one place. That one. I remember that being fiddly to get in afterwards as well, but not the end of the world. That's what the mat's here for, it's for me to lay on while I do that. So that slides on, and what I want to do, make sure that's way back, maybe give it a bit more of a push. Give me a couple of seconds to get that in. That is how I'm going to have to do it. That shot didn't look out though. So. Okay, so that was very difficult. It was a combination of shoving it in by hand, which is really hard work. So if you're not particularly strong, you might need something else to do that. And then getting it lined up with the podger. So we have now got that through, and that's on and in the spacer, which is great. We've got to get this spacer in now, which is equally as fiddly from what I remember. So I'm going to lay down on this mat while I do it. So, got to get this in there. Oops, I've got to get it lined up, which is a bit of a fiddly pain because it just doesn't want to go in straight. So, I'm going to need 2 hands for this, I think. So I'll pass that back to you. There we go. So that's the hitch back on. Beautiful. It only took 9.5 hours. 6 days, 4. No. It's taken a while. Simple mistakes I've made that I'll go through. So I shouldn't have bothered trying to get that spacer perfect. Should have just gone with the spacer that was on it. It's probably good enough. Any mechanic could have probably just put it on, but I wasn't happy. So I tried taking it out, ended up breaking that bushing. It's took ages. Hopefully the bushing it holds up. If not, I'll hear a rattle and I'll know to change it. I'll have to buy another gas strut. But I know for next time. Forgetting to put that on the end was a bit of a pain. So yeah, don't forget to do that. Hopefully that's it though. So I've got 2 nuts to put back on. Down here. And that there should be it. So that down to there. Can't hardly push it in comparison to the old one, which is much easier and doesn't want to come back out again. So that is how you don't replace a damper on an Alco hitch on a caravan. Yeah, again, I would have just, in hindsight, I should have gone with that bushing. I wasn't happy because there must have been 5mm play in that. Maypole, sort it out, put a proper bushing in, or make it so that you can fit the original Alco bushing in, which is what I've ended up doing anyway with a different rubber bung. I broke that one. But yeah, that's it all back together. So you just need to put the cover back on. It just clips on. I might put some cable ties on it because it's a bit old and battered, that one. But yeah, that's it. I hope that video helped, and you can learn from the couple of mistakes I made. Realistically, if you get that part, take it off, order the new part in. It should only take an hour